Hello ladies and gentlemen, Deja Vu here, bring you set 6 and welcome to the main event. It's going to be Jaedong and Fantasy on Icarus. So exciting, this is really what we've been waiting for with the Winners League action, just waiting for the end of the series when Jaedong, Fantasy, Bisu, perhaps Best and Haya, who are not going to be playing here today, but and perhaps not Bisu as well, but those are really the 3, maybe 5 players that I think I really wanted to see today, and we're finally going to see Jaedong and Fantasy, 2 players with a rather interesting past, a lot of games played against each other, and a lot of big games played against each other. There was the Batu OSL where Jaedong knocked off Flash, the Bacchus OSL where Jaedong not knocked off Fantasy, and Bacchus OSL where Jaedong knocked off Fantasy. So Fantasy has not had a lot of luck against Jaedong in the OSL, in the individual leagues, but Fantasy has had some success in high pressure situations in the Pro League. If you'll remember, I think it was like 2009 maybe, or something like that, a year and a half ago or so, when Fantasy beat Jaedong 2 or 3 times in just in the playoff series, when they were doing like the best of 3 playoff series, and they had like the super final. If they were tied, I think they had like a super final, or I don't even know if it got there, but Fantasy definitely won a couple games against Jaedong and during that series, and you know, Jaedong was not very happy about it. I think one of them was a bunker rush, maybe both of them were bunker rushes, but Fantasy was all over him, and Jaedong really dominated him. And really, Jaedong, Fantasy has a slight lead in the team league, in the Pro League series between them, up 3-2, and then Jaedong has a lead in the individual leagues. In the individual leagues, he's up like 6 games to 4 or something like that. But either way, 2 top-notch players, and we should be seeing a fantastic game. I really want to see what Fantasy decides to do. He has been going Eminem as of late, and has been doing pretty well with it. His Eminem has looked a lot better than it did in months past. Yeah, I think he's been working on it very heavily, trying to add that to his game. It was something that was lackluster at best and missing at worst, but he's gotten better with it, so that way he can actually use it as more than just a bunker rush or an early game strategy. But he does have that gas already down, so you know, we're probably not gonna be seeing too much of an Eminem build. It's gonna be more of a mech build, and should it be mech or will it be raids? I think that's the next question when you see that early factory in the gas. We do have a layer already up for Jaedong started, with that second hatchery going down. So very early layer, early tech. Probably going to see 2 hatch Muta is what I'm suspecting off of this build. Certainly has the look of it. And Zergling's finally out, and he is going to go for the SCV. Yeah, he will go for the SCV. And there's another pair go towards the front to try and annoy Fantasy's main. But Fantasy should be prepared for this. Should have a second factory, so 2 factories coming up here for Fantasy. He'll have enough Marines to defend against just a pair of Zerglings, of course, but gonna want to try and stop the scout from coming in as well, and he is gonna be able to do that. So Jaedong's gonna be in the dark here as to what Fantasy's doing. He sees the couple Marines, but that's really not indicative. He knows that it's not a 1-rack straight into Expo, which is something, but he doesn't know if Fantasy's going to cheese him. Fantasy has cheesed him in the past, definitely something that I think Jaedong is wary of. He has cheesed him with the 2-racks build. Of course, he knows that mech and rates are a possibility as well. So definitely a little bit of an advantage here in the early game to Fantasy, just due to the scouting advantage that he has. So he does have those 2 factories going. If there's an armory going down, we'll be seeing a straight up heavy Goliath build. And there is the armory, so and the upgrade going on the machine shop. No engineering bay, so we're going to see some Goliaths. And without an engineering bay, should be a Spire should have started soon, if not already. Yeah, there it is. There's the Spire. Without the engineering bay and the turrets, the Goliaths are really going to have to stay at home So probably what we'll see is we'll see the Goliaths at first staying at home while the engineering bay gets up and he's working on getting some charts, and then we'll see the Goliath and Vulture push out. Okay, there's a lot of Vultures out here actually, so maybe that was actually a Vulture upgrade and not the Goliath range. I think he knows that it's a 2-hatch Muta coming his way, so I hope Fantasy is prepared for the Mutalisks that are going to be heading his way. He's going to have 6 Mutalisks coming for him pretty soon. There's the Overlord, and we should be seeing the stockpiling of resources from Jaedong to come up with the 6 Mutalisks, and there they come. And Fantasy looks like maybe he's actually looks like he's designed an attack to try and take advantage of this gap in the defenses, and he's gonna get speed, gonna go right into the main. Maybe no, he's gonna go right into the main, and he could do a ton of damage here. Jaedong could lose the game right here, actually, folks. If Fantasy's able to pick off enough drones, looks like he's able to pick off 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, nope, just 6. That's a lot of drones that went down and a lot of pressure that happened there. But Fantasy doesn't really have a whole lot of anti-air. He only has the 2 Goliaths, so this is going to be interesting whether or not he's able to hold his own defenses. Both players really doing a lot of damage, are going to be able to do a lot of damage to each other's economy here. And Fantasy trying to repair his Goliaths as they spawn against these Mutalisks. He's going to have to really control these Goliaths and the SCVs very, very well. There are 3 Goliaths right now, and 4 SCVs repairing the one that's under attack, and needs to keep repairing, and no, another Goliath is going to go down, so only 1 Goliath left, so I think, oh man, this is so close, but no, there's no Goliaths left, so it looks like, I mean, this is hard to tell, with the double factories, you know, 2 Goliaths popping out at once is powerful. And depending upon the health of those Mutalisks, it can be very, very effective. Just needs to keep these Goliaths in repair, but no, the Goliaths go down again. Another round of Goliaths go down, and the Vulture in the main is doing as much damage as it can, but it looks like it finally got picked off. Trying to pick off as many drones as he can. He did a lot of damage there, but not quite enough. And it looks like Jaedong's going to win this game, I think, especially when Zerglings start coming into play. It's going to be very difficult for Fantasy to hold it together. We do have a couple more Goliaths that have just popped. One of them goes down. There's 1 more left, and will it go down? It's still alive, still doing damage to the Mutalisks, but a couple Zerglings come in and doing that crucial little extra bit of damage. 2 Mutalisks and some Zerglings left, and I don't know how much damage he's really done to the economy of Jaedong, but you know, both players really, their economies I think are in shambles right now. But I think Jaedong might be able to end this game shortly. Maybe. This is so close. Jaedong looks like he's maybe got 9 drones, maybe 9 drones. Fantasy looks like he has 6 SCVs, 7, 8, 9 SCVs. So both players very, very low eco right now. Both players with virtually no army right now. And yeah, what a nuts few moments there. That did not disappoint. This game is not disappointing there. That was a crazy couple minutes there with the Mutalisks and the Vultures going back and forth. The Goliaths just spawning and trying to hold as well as they can. Craziness going on right now, and both players with virtually no money. This is going to be a very strategic moment in the game as we move forward for the next several minutes. Both players working off very little money. This is not going to be you can't just pour your money into one thing and go for it. You're kind of going to have to wisely figure out what your opponent is doing and try and counter it appropriately, while at the same time trying to build up as many drones and SCVs as you can. It's a really tough situation for both these players. Every mineral, every gas is going to be so important at this point. Every Zergling is going to be important. So these Vultures, suddenly in this type of a game, when it gets to this stage, both players are on pretty low eco, Vultures really just start to really shine. Vultures and Zerglings just really start to become powerful because they are so efficient in their costs. Luckily for Jaedong, so at least yet, the Vultures don't have any spider mines. If there were spider mines that start to get involved here, things would get very, very ugly for Jaedong, I think, because he would really struggle to bring his Zerglings into play. And Fantasy's gonna have to micro these Vultures very well. I'm surprised that Jaedong doesn't just send out his Mutalisks and try and take out these Vultures, but a lot of Zerglings go down. Most of them do go down. Looks like there's 4 maybe Mutalisks, 4 or 5 Mutalisks. Yeah, it looks like we're starting to build up those Mutalisk number again. And Fantasy now sees the Mutalisks, and he still doesn't have an engineering base, so he's still gonna be dependent on the Goliaths. I haven't seen a Hydra's done either, no money for it. So Jaedong is not gonna be able to counter the Goliaths with Hydralisks right now. Both players just working off so little, and it's really hard to tell what's going to happen here. Fantasy sneaking a base in the bottom right. There is an Overlord nearby, but is it going to see it? I don't know. It's moving towards the top left, so the Overlord is not going to scout this out. What a crazy move here by Fantasy, deciding to throw down that base. Yeah, and this Overlord from Jaedong, not even suspecting it. Jaedong has no idea this is going on. So if this game goes on for a while and that base comes into play, that will be huge. Looks like Jaedong's thinking about taking the top left base and try and get his own eco a little bit more powerful that way. But Fantasy sneaking that base in, I think, is a little bit more significant to the game, just because right now Jaedong's got to know that Fantasy hasn't really expanded and is going to be in somewhat of turtle mode. And yeah, assuming that your opponent is in turtle mode and him actually having another base is actually a big deal. And a couple of vultures sneaking in here again and not getting any drone kills yet. Will they get a drone kill? Hard to tell. Mutalisk coming in here to try and fight off the Goliaths and try and finish what they start and finish Fantasy off. But there are 3 Goliaths and 3 Goliaths left, and they are doing a good amount of damage. It looks like a few drones did die there, maybe 3 or 4 drones to those 2 vultures. So the vultures again doing some nice economic damage for Fantasy. Looks like the base at the bottom right has just completed, so SCVs are going to start pumping into there. We're not going to see a main art, of course, going across the map, but we do have the slowly developing base down there if it gets going. And Jaedong actually cancelled his top left base, interesting decision there, and sending some Mutalisks to the main again in the natural, to just still looking to see if Fantasy's going to throw out an expansion, and he hasn't. And I think he's got to start getting suspicious now, because the Goliath numbers really aren't that prevalent, and there is an expansion at the natural, so he's got to be wondering what's going on right now. Perhaps I think Fantasy is maybe hoping that Jaedong suspects. Fantasy is thinking that hoping that Jaedong thinks that Fantasy was down to that few SCVs that he can't really develop his army so quickly. Because if Jaedong really suspects that something is coming his way, it's going to be problematic, really problematic for Fantasy if it's discovered. I mean, that base will go down without any trouble. To just some Zerglings. Jaedong doesn't even need to send his Mutalisk to go. And that scouting Mutalisk is going to discover it, and that is going to be huge. Eventually it will get down there, and the game will change at that. Oh no! The Mutalisk turning around. Where's it going? Okay, never mind. Whew. Setting that Mutalisk back on the scouting information, and it is about to notice. It is about to catch it, and there it is! The singular Mutalisk going to be able to take down this base slowly but surely, and now Fantasy is going to have to go on the offensive, hardcore offensive, going to have to reveal his Goliath and try and really take Jaedong down right now, because this base is no longer going to be a weapon in his pocket. And there is Fantasy going on the attack. A couple sunken colonies already up going. There's some backup Mutalisks. Jaedong has a lot of Mutalisks. Where the hell did all these Mutalisks come from? Jeez, he's built a lot of them. Both players have +1 armor on the important units. The Goliaths and the Mutalisks both have +1 armor. And the Mutalisks for Jaedong actually getting caught a little bit by the Goliaths, and he loses 1. And Vultures coming in here trying to pick off some more drones, are able to pick off a couple more, but not a lot. And Fantasy countering by taking his natural expansion now. So gonna float that expansion away. Where will he go with it? He doesn't have an engineering base, so he still doesn't have any turrets to provide some static defense and some time for his Goliaths to really survive. So this is really tough for Jaedong, for Fantasy. Jaedong coming in with 2 control groups worth of Mutalisks, and I don't know if Fantasy has enough Goliaths here. He has a lot of Goliaths, and with the +1 armor upgrade, they're actually really powerful. I don't know if there's enough there, though. We will find out. It looks like Mutalisks are going down at a pretty good rate, but so are Goliaths. Both players' units are going down at a really good rate. A couple Vultures trying to sneak into the main of Jaedong and do some damage, but it looks like the Goliaths are just about out. There's only a couple left. 1 left, done, none left. So Jaedong is going to win this game. Fantasy going to lose it, but that was such an exciting game. That was a great game played by these 2 fantastic players. And yeah, Jaedong gets the win, so this series is tied 3-3 with Fantasy falling here. And Fantasy's run of big wins in Pro League against Jaedong comes to an end. And Jaedong's going to have a chance against Bisu to 3-kill his way into the Winners League Finals. And I will see you guys all on the last map, the ace match between the two aces on Fortress. It's going to be Jaedong and Bisu. I will see you guys there.